Welcome to ProviderSource. Providers enter their application through MedVersant's dynamic online ProviderSource portal, designed to allow completely electronic application data entry, upload of supporting documents like liability face sheets, license copies, or anything else needed for credentialing or enrollment, and secure electronic attestation. Just like many other web applications, providers can create and maintain a secure login through ProviderSource. So let's go ahead and register for an account now. The ProviderSource system supports co-branding to help articulate process requirements from various specific healthcare organizations. The provider just has to click the Sign Up button and then complete the brief registration form. Upon completion, they will receive a confirmation email at the email address they registered. As with all of the ProviderSource pages, all important fields are marked with an asterisk, letting them know that those are required fields. As you can see, email, demographic information, and profession type are key to the registration process. Depending on the profession type chosen, if a provider chooses physician, medical school and licensure are key pieces of information, whereas if they choose other healthcare provider, medical school becomes professional school. Once the provider completes their registration and receives the completion email, they can log back into the ProviderSource application with their existing credentials by clicking the Login button. So now it's time for the provider to complete the application, and here's where the fun starts. First, the provider chooses from the options to complete the application now, view summary, which is just a PDF of a populated application so they can have a copy for their records at any time, and reattest, which only becomes available once the provider has attested for the first time. Alright, so let's get started on our application. The ProviderSource application is a dynamic platform built on intelligent, rules-based technologies with the goal of keeping the application as relevant and short as possible for each provider. What that means in layman's terms is that the application has certain fields, namely state of practice and provider type, where the response the provider gives alters the application so that the provider is not wasting time answering inappropriate or unapplicable questions, and so that any state-mandated content like certain disclosure statements are always included. Additionally, as the provider progresses through the application, most of the application sections are built around what we refer to as leading questions. These are yes/no questions that guide a provider through the application so that they see only applicable questions. For instance, in the licensure section of the application, all the provider sees at first is the simple question, do or did you have a state license to practice in your specialty? For those providers who do not have a license, typically your AHP or OHP providers, they would answer no to this simple question, click the Save button, and be on their way to the next application section. For providers who do have licensure, by answering yes, the follow-up questions to collect license information will display, allowing them to complete appropriate information without bogging down or confusing those providers to whom this doesn't apply. This simplification of the application questions allows providers to move more quickly through the application and leads to a higher completion rate. In another effort to improve application completion levels, the system has controls on many of the fields that prohibit entry of incorrect information. Sometimes this is as simple as a drop-down menu or alphanumeric control, or even an auto-completion setting that allows a provider to begin typing information and select from system options for the complete record details. Here's an example of that auto-completion. This last case mostly applies to educational institutions, insurance carriers, licensure, and other standard primary sources that MedVersant already has in its historical database. It should be noted that if a provider does not see their matching record in these autocomplete fields, they should feel free to keep typing and submit their own accurate data at any time. This will be reviewed by the MedVersant team and, if accurate, will be added to the database of applicable primary sources for the next provider to see as part of the autocomplete list. Additionally, some of the fields even have integrated functionality with MedVersant's patented Auto-Verify technology, which allows the system to immediately verify data accuracy of inputted information against the applicable primary source before the provider can save the page. This prohibits incorrect entry of things like NPI numbers, DEA numbers, and other standard identifiers. Now you may be asking yourself, this looks like a long application and our providers are pretty busy. When are they supposed to find the time to complete this whole thing? As you may have noticed, each page has a Save button at the bottom of it, and that button allows each page to be saved individually. With that functionality, the provider is able to complete the application in any way he or she desires, from start to finish by completing each page, clicking the Save button and then the next button, or in a random order by completing a page, clicking the Save button, and then choosing the next page from the left-hand column. Additionally, the provider can start and stop at any time, coming back to finish it in increments that are convenient to their busy schedules. All they have to do is save a page before they leave it, and they can pick up exactly where they left off the next time they log in. Finally, you'll notice that if they forget to click the Save button when they leave any page, the system will prompt them to save before moving on to another application page or section in order to prevent loss of entered information. Whatever the order the provider chooses to complete the application in, once they have completed all sections, or whenever they wish to get a status of what still needs to be completed, they can visit the Audit section to get a customized checklist of application items and supporting documents still required for a complete application. This customized checklist is based on that dynamic application tailoring that we discussed earlier, based on the provider's responses to certain application questions. If supporting documents are required during this audit stage, or at any point in the application process, the provider can easily click the Upload arrow, find the document on their computer, and attach it to the applicable record. They can also do this through the Manage Documents link at the top of the screen at any time. To do so, providers can simply click on the Manage Documents link, upload the required document, and attach it to the appropriate application record by selecting from the application section list and available records. Supporting documents for all credentialing and enrollment requirements can be securely stored in this single platform, allowing credentialing coordinators easy access to documents while fostering the accurate and complete submission of applicable materials at any time. Once an application is complete as per the Audit section checklists, the provider will then move on to the Attestation section, where they will complete the applicable disclosures and releases and submit a secure and HIPAA-compliant electronic attestation signature. By clicking the I Attest button, they will attest and receive a confirmation screen where they will know the application is complete, and the application review and eventual sync into Encompass for verification begins. It should be noted that for those providers who are re-credentialing, ProviderSource will issue automated reminders to the provider instructing them to log into ProviderSource, update their application as necessary, and reattest on a pre-configured schedule. This keeps the application accurate and current and allows providers to share any information updates as soon as they occur, instead of waiting for the next credentialing cycle. Additionally, providers can click at any point on the View History link to see copies of the applications that they have submitted. The View Summary link also leads to a general summary PDF that can be printed or saved to their desktop at any time for their own records. So that is your introduction to ProviderSource, the online application portal that your providers will utilize to quickly and easily submit information relevant to credentialing and enrollment. Once an application is deemed complete by MedVersant's application review team, data and documents from ProviderSource are automatically synced into Encompass, MedVersant's proprietary data management platform, and verification activities commence. So let's go ahead and make the switch to Encompass so you can get an overview of that system and the process it facilitates.